Good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you happen to be, everybody. I have the honor of introducing our next speaker, Sheena, who has been programming since her early teens, but has spent the last 5 years working in tech education, where she has given hundreds of people a start in coding through her nonprofit work. Today, we are fortunate to hear her thoughts on teaching programming to people. This is an important topic that resonates with many of us, and I'm sure you'll find it all pretty interesting. Let's give a warm welcome to Sheena.
Hello, everyone. I want us to start off by picturing a perfectly normal classroom situation. This shouldn't take a lot of imagination. You've all seen it before. You've probably been in one, or if you haven't, you've definitely seen one on TV. It's you would be imagining a bunch of people sitting in a room, all facing in the same direction, most likely, with a teacher standing in the front, a sage on the stage, wielding a chalk stick of authority. Now, in these situations, people perform in different ways. And so I'm going to draw a picture here. We've got this normal distribution, right? Learners in a classroom either perform well or they perform badly or somewhere in between. And there's lots of different reasons for that, right? There's like maybe somebody was sick and they fell behind, whatever. Now, a bunch of people would pass and a bunch of people would fail. So I'm going to draw a line down the middle here and say 50% of the people pass, right? And 50% of the people fail. Is that normal? Is that the ratio we usually have? One would want to build a classroom that helps most people, right? You don't want to just be like, oh, you're slightly below average, too bad for you. You like an effective teaching environment would teach effectively. So the line should be like down there, maybe. There will be some people who just won't cut it. That's fine. There'll always be people you can't help, but ideally you should help most people. It shouldn't be like a flip of a coin. So how do you move this line from there to there? Think about it for a moment. Now, there was a guy who thought about it quite a lot, and his name was Bloom, and he came up with this thing called the 2 sigma problem. And Bloom's 2 sigma problem states that the average student tutored one-to-one using mastery learning techniques performs 2 standard deviations better than students educated in a classroom environment, and that is a mouthful. So let's go back to our picture. Basically, what he's saying is that if you do have this like 50-50 pass-fail rate, and you change only the delivery mechanism, so you change it to mastery-based learning, you give it one-on-one tutoring, then this line will move by 2 standard deviations. And so instead of it being like 50-50, you'd end up with something like 97% of the people passing. So this is the same students, this is the same teachers, this is the same content, the same assessments, the same standards, just a change in how the teaching happens. So that's cool. Let's always do that, right? Why is Bloom's 2 sigma problem a problem? It's because it's expensive. It's actually hard. So hi, my name is Sheena. These are my emojis. I am an experienced software engineer. I've been doing it for a long time. And for the past 5 years, I've been working specifically in tech education. So I build education systems. The way I think about my work is I take the science of learning and I turn it into the engineering of learning. And that's a multifaceted thing. So I've implemented a learning system that's based very heavily on mastery-based learning and small group tutoring. One-on-one is very expensive, but small group tutoring works pretty freaking well. So the stuff I did worked, taught people to code, and they got jobs. And it wasn't just interview hacking. I know that there are a lot of boot camps out there that just try to get people into jobs and almost try to fool their way in. Like this freaking worked. So people got jobs, we got good feedback, they kept their jobs, they moved forward in their careers. So solid stuff. So I want to share some of what I've learned over the years. So the first thing I want to talk about is this thing called mastery learning techniques, mastery-based learning. I've mentioned that word those words a few times over. Let's make sure we're on the same page. So how it works is this. It's pretty straightforward. We give a person a thing to learn, and then you check if they mastered the thing. And if they mastered the thing, then they get to learn the next thing. And if they didn't master the thing, they get extra support until they master the thing. And this makes sense. Like, it's pretty simple. Like, do the thing until you're finished with the thing, and then move on to the next thing. And it makes a lot of sense in software engineering teaching. So let's say you've got a class of people and you're teaching everybody recursion, but there's somebody at the back of the class who doesn't yet grasp functions. You as an educator are wasting their time. Don't waste their time. And skills stack on skills, sometimes in very obvious ways and sometimes in less obvious ways, but it's a lot. And so it makes a lot of sense to pay attention to the fundamentals and make sure that people grasp that before forcing them to move forward. The other thing is one-on-one tutoring. The other thing that Bloom recommended. Now, if you picture that in your minds, one-on-one tutoring is pretty powerful in its own. Like, think about being in a class versus having the full attention of a tutor. So for a student, it's more engaging. They aren't gazing out the window. There's a social contract in play. But it's also very good for the teacher because they can focus on one learner and focus on what they need. They can get an idea specifically of what the person's brain is like and plug the gaps there. So before I go further, I just want to say something about lectures and classrooms. Like, they're hard to get right. And it's hard to even know if you're doing a good job. Like, this is a lecture. I hope I'm doing something good here, but who really knows? They're still useful. They have a place in education, but it's just important to realize that there are more effective ways of teaching. All right. Now, the other thing that's really cool to notice about mastery learning techniques specifically is that it gives you mastery of teaching. So if I, as an educator, am teaching a person, and then I think they understand a thing, and then they fail the assessment, or I check if they understood the thing and they didn't, that's feedback to me. And that helps me to get better. Like, teachers can get better, and getting feedback is very important. If I'm doing a Sage on the Stage thing and just like spraying knowledge at a group of people, I don't get that feedback in the same way. So people who practice in this way tend to do pretty well. All right. So I've been doing that for years, right? For quite a few years, and I've been teaching other people how to do it. And there are a few core ideas that have come out of this that I want to share with you that I find to be very, very impactful. So this is a very short talk, and so I can't go into all of the details. Like, I can't teach you everything. And so I've had to be very careful about what to choose. So the first thing is this quote: "Education is not the filling of a pail, but the lighting of a fire." A lot of people have heard this quote. It's very poetic. It sticks in our minds. It's been around for a while, and people quote it all the time. It's very quotable. But practically speaking, what does it mean? The way I look at it is this: we have time with a student. We have a certain amount of time. We have just a sliver of time. If I'm, I don't know, having one tutoring session with a learner a week, then my goal isn't just to make sure that I cram as much knowledge into their head in that one tutoring session. The goal is to set them up so that the rest of the week goes well. They should be able to keep learning and growing. It shouldn't be just like, I am the point source of knowledge. Teaching is like planting seeds. You set a person up with a seed and some nutrients and a bit of sunlight, and then you let them go, and they should be able to continue to learn and grow on their own. And so if you're having a class with people, you want to end things in a good way. You want them to feel that it's worth getting good. They should have enthusiasm. They should have curiosity. How else should they feel? They should feel confident that they can move forward. They should have a way to move forward. There should be some next steps lined up in front of them, and those steps should make sense. So you, as an educator, if you're teaching a person a thing, try to make sure that you coach them on where to go next. Don't solve their problems for them. Don't simply swoop in and be the hero. Problems are great teachers. You can't teach a person to ride a bicycle by riding their bicycle for them. You need to actually set them up that they can struggle through things. You don't want to be the point source of information. You want to set people up so they can seek out information on their own. So that's all very important. The next thing that's important is the mindset. So I'm sure most of you have heard about growth mindsets and fixed mindsets. So I'm going to whiz through this section also because time. But basically, a fixed mindset is the belief that you either have it or you don't. And a growth mindset is the belief that you have the ability to grow and learn. Now, little caveat, there is a replication crisis in the social sciences, and there are aspects of the growth mindset research that are coming under fire right now. But there are aspects that are pretty solid, in my opinion. And in his opinion, too, which is great. So there's this guy, Huberman. He's got a podcast. I freaking dig this. So I'll share a link later, and you can watch this. He's a neuroscientist working at Stanford University and sharing good applicable knowledge. So check that out later. All right. So people with a growth mindset are better at taking failure. If they fail, it's a lesson. It's not like I suck at this. It's like I suck at this right now. They can look at struggle in a more positive way. They're more willing to seek out help instead of hiding their deficiencies. People with a fixed mindset typically have a sense of shame and identity around the fact that they can't do a thing yet. That they're less judgmental when others struggle as well, it's powerful. So it's worth fostering. It's a spectrum. It's a lot of spectrums. So it's not like a static thing. I might have some confidence around my ability to learn coding concepts, but then when it comes to drawing, I might be like, I'm just not a creative person. So it's good to know that these things are different in different places, and also that they move around. Like some days I might just have like a low confidence day because life was hard for a little bit. So they shift and they change, and they can in fact be fostered. So of course, it makes sense if you're teaching a person. Try to foster a growth mindset in that person. Try to get them to see that their effort is paying off. But then it's also good to foster a growth mindset about the skills of teaching itself. Like teaching is a skill set. It's based on science. There is some art to it as well. And it makes sense to try to improve. I have met teachers who are like, oh, teaching, you either have it or you don't. They're wrong. Like teaching is a craft in its own, and it can be improved upon. So that's pretty cool. And the other thing that's pretty cool is that mastery-based learning actually helps to promote aspects of a growth mindset. If you think about it from the point of view of a student, they struggle on a thing, right? Like they're on a learning task and they're struggling. If you force them to move forward and struggle on the next thing pointlessly before they're ready, then that would probably beat up their confidence. But if a person struggles on a thing and then they stick to it and then they get through it, and then they struggle on the next thing and they stick to it and they get through it, even if they don't finish absolutely everything, they will get to a point where they know that they can get over things, and they have some mental tools around getting over those things. So it's very, very powerful. So let's zoom in some more. Let's be a bit more practical about things. So a lot of what Bloom talks about is this one-to-one tutoring thing, but how do you do that well? So the way I think about it, I say that a lot, gosh, the way I do it is like this. So if you're having a session with a learner, then you want to start off by preparing for that session. You want to make sure that you know what's up, what the content is, and then you enter a session with them where you go into a little bit of a loop. You assess where they're at, you assess how they're thinking, and then you fill in the gaps and you illuminate. And then at the end, you catalyze further growth. And all of this is underpinned by mindset and metacognition. So we've spoken about mindset before, but what is this metacognition thing? Basically the awareness and understanding of one's own thought processes. It's thinking about thinking, understanding how understanding works, practically speaking. A teacher's job is not simply to convey information. It's not just about the technical aspects of the thing that you're trying to teach. It's also about teaching the person how to learn those things. It's the inner game. You want to, also as a teacher, you want to realize that some teaching techniques are more powerful than others. So here's an example. What do you think is more useful? Asking people questions to lead them to answers, or just giving them the answers, just like telling them the stuff? What's better? You tell me. All right, there's a clue in the question. So then if we zoom in on the actual mechanism that happens in the session, like while you're spending time with the learner or the learners in my case, then you want to assess and illuminate. What does that look like? The first thing we do is a little bit of science. You want to be a detective, a mind reader. You want to understand how the learner's brain is working. If you're teaching a concept and they could have misunderstood it in certain ways, you want to be able to check if they misunderstood it in those ways. So for example, when teaching Python, I often find that people get confused about the difference between print and return. For experienced people, they'll be like, what, really? But it kind of makes sense if you see it, how people learn the stuff in the beginning. So you want to understand how people's brains are working, and you want to be able to find where they're confused. And you want to do that by asking questions and by showing them stuff and by probing in different ways. And you need to have a good signal to noise ratio in this, because like, let's say I ask a learner a question and they get it wrong. Maybe they got it wrong because I asked the question badly and was confusing. Maybe they got it wrong because they were scared and anxious because I was being terrifying. Maybe they got it wrong because it was a trick question. Don't ask trick questions. They're not that useful if you're trying to actually understand a person's mind. Ideally, if you ask a learner a question and they get it wrong, it should be because they have some missing information in their mind, and then you can solve that. So that's important. And then the other thing is to be very careful about what questions you ask. So always remember that we're training coders, not parrots. If I say to somebody, how does a for loop work? And they give me a perfect textbook definition, it's probably something that they memorized off the internet. Like, I found that a lot of people early on in coding, they think that memorization and understanding are the same thing. And maybe that's a symptom of the terrible schooling system in my home country. But people think memorization and understanding are the same, and they're not. So it's important to remember that yourself and to snap people out of it. So be very practical. Say, like, what will this code print? Be very specific. Have answers that can be demonstrated. Cool. Then once you find a hole in a person's understanding, then you want to line up some pennies and watch them drop. So try to be a guide. Try to not give many lectures. So ask leading questions. So, like, how many times does this print statement execute? Why? What order do these lines happen in? Why? And people will often figure things out by themselves. Sometimes they're missing information and you need to give them a mini lecture and be like, okay, cool, this is how it works. And that's completely fine. And trust no one. I mean that with love. So if you are teaching a person a thing and then you say, hey, this is how it works, do you understand? Then they'll say yes. They'll reliably say yes, even if they don't. So like, people will say yes because they don't want to upset you, or because they're feeling uncomfortable, or because they have an illusion of competence. So always reassess. If you explain a thing to a person, if you get to a point where you think they understand it, check again. Then, of course, last but not least, you want to catalyze further growth. So one thing that's interesting is that if you have a great session with the learner and at the beginning they're not understanding stuff and by the end they're nailing it, that understanding that you gave them, that you helped them to achieve, it is firmly lodged in their short-term memory. It is not going to stick around unless it is practiced. And so you need to make good recommendations around how the person can practice the stuff. And ideally, the way you teach a person a thing, the way you assess a person's understanding, these should be things that show them how they can understand things themselves and push their own understanding. So encourage them to push their understanding further. And let them know that learning is, in fact, a hard thing. Like, if there is cognitive load, if it is challenging, that is good. They shouldn't try to take the easy route. You need to make sure that people are comfortable with being wrong. Give them that opportunity to be wrong and celebrate it. An opportunity to be wrong is an opportunity to be less wrong in future. So that's great. Psychological safety is important. Celebration of the small wins is also important. So if a person is struggling with a thing and then they get over it and then they struggle with the next thing, they might just remember the struggles. So you as a teacher can be like, hey, I just noticed something. You leveled up. You sucked at this and now you're freaking awesome at it. And that was great. Did you notice that level up? Because I did. And again, encourage people to do it themselves. So that's everything I'm going to share with you today. I've made this thing called the Guild of Educators. It's a community. It's a free thing. And it aims to help educators in different ways. We share skills and opportunities and resources, and we're a community. It's a new thing, but I really want to help teachers stay in teaching and grow in different ways. I want to support. So our initial focus is around Python education because lots of reasons. Python is itself a great teacher. So yeah, if this sounds like something you want to be involved in, come and join us. This is a link. I'll share links later. But yes, I would love to have more people there. And if you feel like you need to ask first before joining, then just join, just show up. It's fine. Now, this wouldn't be a very good lecture if I didn't give you some homework. So scan this QR code and you'll get a bunch of resources about how learning works. And the other piece of you'll get these slides basically. And then the other thing I'd like to recommend is that you go and teach someone. This is like, it's a deep rabbit hole. It's very stimulating and you'll grow your own skills by doing it. So that's it from me. My name is Sheena. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheena, for that engaging presentation. Your insights into teaching programming has provided us with a fresh perspective. I hope everyone's having a great conference.